Britain understood early that silver shaped ancient economies far beyond gold. Rivals depended heavily on silver, backing their currencies across continents historically. But London saw vulnerability hidden inside their precious metal dependence. Silver became battlefield where Britain fought silently for economic supremacy. Asia held world's largest silver markets, influencing global trade for centuries. Britain feared Asian dominance, undermining imperial expansion and economic global authority. Massive flows of silver empowered nations, resisting British commercial influence effectively. Thus began hidden war, targeting foundations of silver-based economic systems. China relied entirely on silver anchoring empire's financial structure against instability. British merchants recognized dependency, offering opportunity to sabotage Chinese monetary equilibrium. Silver scarcity could collapse markets, weakening empire resistant to British intrusion. This realization transformed silver from currency into imperial strategic weapon quietly. India held deep silver traditions, controlling subcontinental commerce for multiple generations. Silver coins dominated trade, making economy vulnerable to targeted manipulation externally. Britain exploited vulnerability, gradually shifting Indians toward gold and paper alternatives. Such transition weakened cultural institutions, reliant on consistent silver-based circulation patterns. Ottoman Empire depended on silver, maintaining stability across fragmented regional economies. Britain saw weakness and encouraged destabilizing influxes of devalued foreign silver. Debased silver flooded markets, reducing value of Ottoman currency dramatically. Collapse increased British leverage through loans offered during monetary desperation. Spain's colonial empire survived through massive silver extraction across American territories. Britain disrupted shipments, using naval dominance, intercepting silver convoys strategically. Losses starved Spanish treasury, undermining ability to resist British global expansion. Silver became casualty, enabling Britain outmaneuver empire considered formidable economically. France attempted strengthening silver reserves to counter Britain's growing political influence. But Britain manipulated markets, reducing purchasing strength of French silver holdings. Speculators aligned with London devalued silver, eroding France's monetary confidence. France retreated financially, witnessing dominance of Britain's calculated global strategy. Japan maintained bimetallic system balancing gold and silver for economic resilience. Britain disrupted balance, influencing traders, directing silver demand toward alternate markets. Resulting imbalance weakened Japanese monetary structure, enabling British commercial advantage. Japan eventually abandoned silver influence, embracing global systems shaped by Britain. Latin American economies depended heavily on silver exports, sustaining national financial stability. Britain influenced global prices, limiting revenue, essential for regional development. Lower income forced governments borrow from British banks under restrictive conditions. Thus, future of region became tied permanently to London's financial dominance. Silver mines across world attracted British investors, seeking control over supply. Ownership granted influence, determining flow between markets strategically significant internationally. By controlling mines, Britain indirectly controlled economies, relying exclusively on silver. Resource ownership transformed into silent lever, manipulating global monetary behavior. Britain recognized silver-dependent economies collapsed faster during international crises. Thus, empire encouraged rivals remain tied to silver despite emerging alternatives. Dependency ensured vulnerability, maintaining British advantage across volatile financial periods globally. Silver economies became predictable targets during Britain's gradual pursuit of supremacy. Chinese merchants required stable silver imports, preserving empire's domestic economic structure. Britain disrupted supply, altering ratio between local and foreign silver dramatically. Disruption inflated prices, creating economic instability throughout Chinese urban centers. Instability weakened empire, empowering British negotiators, demanding access and control. When China resisted British entry, silver imbalance created widespread fiscal breakdown. Governments struggled purchasing essentials due to fluctuating metallic value unpredictably. British pressure increased, subtly transforming trade imbalance into geopolitical advantage quickly. Silver scarcity pushed China toward decisions, benefiting British commercial expansion deliberately. India transitioned from traditional silver coins toward British-controlled rupee systems. Shift weakened local autonomy, linking region to imperial monetary authority. Silver disappeared, gradually replaced by British decisions controlling currency valuation entirely. Rupee became tool integrating India deeper within British economic orbit. Britain flooded global markets with silver extracted cheaply from colonies. Oversupply reduced silver value, weakening economies dependent on consistent pricing. Cheap silver destabilized rival currencies, rendering them vulnerable to speculative exploitation. Controlled dumping allowed Britain direct influence, shaping global economic direction. Ottoman leaders watched helplessly as silver-based system deteriorated rapidly. British financiers offered rescue, hiring reforms, increasing Britain's influence internally. Debt dependence grew, making empire servant to London's expanding financial power. Silver crisis cemented Ottoman submission through monetary desperation and external reliance. Spain attempted restoring silver dominance through increased mining across colonies. Britain undermined operations by supporting independence movements, disrupting Spanish extraction. Collapse of supply destroyed Spain's financial core, weakening empire irreversibly. Silver once symbolized strength, but became Spain's economic downfall, orchestrated strategically. Britain strategically promoted gold standard, limiting influence of silver worldwide. Nations adopting gold aligned with system dominated by London exclusively. Silver nations struggled, competing due to price instability and decreasing demand. Global shift effectively isolated rivals, while empowering Britain through gold supremacy. British economists framed silver as outdated, reducing prestige among emerging nations. Propaganda shaped sentiment, encouraging world abandon metal, traditionally valued regionally. Perception war weakened resistance, accelerating global migration away from silver dependency. Control achieved through narrative rather than military or legal coercion. Silver mines not owned by Britain suffered depletion and declining profitability. Britain capitalized, purchasing weakened operations, integrating them into imperial network. Mining consolidation increased control over silver flow, ensuring global predictability effectively. Predictability gave Britain unmatched advantage, directing world economy from London. In Chinese markets, British traders hoarded silver, creating artificial scarcity intentionally. Scarcity spiked prices, causing inflation, destabilizing empire's fiscal structure profoundly. Chinese government reliance on silver taxation suffered immediate collapse of public revenue. Crisis forced negotiations, granting Britain powerful concessions, including expanded commercial rights. India's silver drain demonstrated British mastery of monetary extraction mechanisms. Silver left region continuously enriching Britain while impoverishing Indian economy systematically. Drain weakened local industries, making nation dependent on British manufactured imports. Monetary collapse ensured region followed British economic policy without meaningful resistance. Latin American nations attempted stabilizing economies by increasing silver coin minting. Britain countered by exporting higher purity silver, destabilizing local mint credibility. Citizens preferred British-approved silver, undermining authority of regional monetary institutions. Trust shifted externally, strengthening Britain's silent dominance across Western Hemisphere. Europe faced periodic silver crises, shaking confidence within continental banking systems. Nations requested British stabilization, enforcing imperial influence during critical economic periods. Loans introduced restrictions embedding British control within fiscal structures of rivals. Silver weakness transformed into opportunity, expanding Britain's global geopolitical reach. Britain spread narrative linking silver to backward economies, lacking modern progress. Nations eager for global relevance abandoned silver, aligning with British-led systems. Abandonment reduced power of regions previously anchored in metallic independence. World reorganized through persuasion, enabling Britain dictate international monetary behavior. Speculators in London targeted silver currencies, driving rapid devaluation across markets. Exports from silver economies plummeted, worsening fiscal imbalances, draining national reserves. Governments appealed to British banks, accepting conditions, limiting future economic sovereignty. Debt agreements cemented dependence, ensuring long-term submission to British authority. Britain's shipping mastery prevented rivals transporting silver safely between global markets. Insurance rates shaped routes, ensuring British supervision over precious metal movement. Unsupervised transport became too risky, keeping silver flow under British control. Thus, global metallic infrastructure operated according to British strategic preference. Rival empires attempted cooperation, stabilizing silver through coordinated market intervention. Britain sabotaged attempts, spreading misinformation, creating distrust among participating nations. Distrust fractured cooperation, reserving Britain's advantage throughout monetary competition. Silver remained battlefield. Britain dominated through manipulation rather than cooperation. China's silver-based economy crumbled under repeated shocks, engineered by British pressure. Modernization required abandoning silver foundation, deeply rooted within cultural traditions. Britain guided transformation, ensuring new system mirrored global British monetary model. China entered new era, carrying legacy shaped by British intervention. India's complete integration into British monetary system demonstrated precision of imperial strategy. Silver lost relevance, becoming historical relic rather than economic foundation nationally. Control of currency ensured British dominance, lasting throughout colonial administration. Silver vanished from circulation, while empire strengthened through financial manipulation. Latin America emerged dependent on British loans, stabilizing collapsing silver-driven economies. Debt tied nations permanently to London, reinforcing British influence regionally. Silver exports diminished, replaced by obligations, shaping future generations economically. Britain gained empire without conquest, through quiet manipulation of metallic dependence. Europe accepted British gold standard, reluctantly abandoning centuries-old silver foundations entirely. Transition altered balance of power, favoring Britain within global financial order. Former silver economies lost influence, unable to compete with British-backed system. Thus, continents entered century dominated by Britain's shadow economic authority. Silver war ended without treaties, battlefields, or declarations, yet transformed world. Metal, once powering empires, became weakness, exploited by Britain strategically. Victory carried silently, shaping global monetary dynamics for generations afterward. Silver economies collapsed, while Britain rose unmatched in financial control. Britain advanced strategy further, ensuring silver economies never regained monetary independence. Foreign governments attempted reforms, restoring stability within collapsing silver-based systems globally. But Britain controlled trade, credit, insurance, and bullion flow, influencing every decision. Reforms failed repeatedly because system itself served British geopolitical financial interests exclusively. Silver mints abroad struggled to maintain purity standards, matching British-controlled bullion sources. Britain supplied higher quality metal, creating preference for British-approved coinage internationally. Foreign currencies lost trust, immediately damaging credibility of national financial institutions. Loss of credibility ensured Britain retained advantage, shaping worldwide circulation patterns. Asian merchants adapted slowly, but faced devastation when silver value shifted sharply. Britain engineered volatility, creating unpredictable fluctuations, destroying traditional commercial planning. Uncertainty weakened centuries-old networks previously immune to imperial external manipulation. Instability invited Britain deeper into markets once closed to foreign influence. China's silver dependence created domino effect, influencing entire Asian trading ecosystem. Britain targeted nodes within network, destabilizing regional economic balance effectively. Shockwaves travel through ports, dissolving confidence among merchants relying on metallic certainty. Collapse open pathways, allowing Britain dictate new terms governing Asian commerce. India's monetary shift cemented British control, while erasing cultural silver heritage entirely. Locals suffered devaluation, as silver coins lost purchasing value daily. British rupee replaced legacy systems, integrating millions into empire's economic bloodstream. Transformation accompanied by narratives portraying silver economy as outdated relic. Ottoman treasury collapsed repeatedly because silver-based system failed under external pressure. Britain provided credit reinforcing long-term control over Ottoman financial policy-making. Foreign influence expanded subtly, shaping fate of empire from distant London offices. Silver weakness transformed into political leverage, altering course of regional power. Spain failed to regenerate silver after losing American mines due to independence. Britain influenced new republics, ensuring silver exports favored British-controlled routes. Spain lost influence as silver network fractured under geopolitical redirection. Britain capitalized, securing dominance across both Atlantic and Mediterranean markets. Latin American dependence increased when silver prices dropped, triggered by British moves. Currency instability forced governments borrow heavily from British financial houses. Debt contracts included terms aligning national policy with British international priorities. Thus, Britain shaped region's future through loans rather than military presence. European silver economies tried bimetallism, balancing gold and silver strategically, but Britain manipulated gold ratio, making silver increasingly uncompetitive internationally. Bimetallic systems collapsed as markets gravitated toward British-designed gold standard. Silver nations surrendered autonomy, adopting system engineered to favor London. German unification increased pressure for consistent monetary reform supporting industrial development. Silver suffered decline, making German silver-based currency vulnerable to volatility. Britain influenced market expectations, encouraging Germany to adopt gold for stability. Decision strengthened British gold dominance, while eliminating continental silver competition. United States debated silver role extensively during expansion of Western mining territories. Britain influenced global prices, undermining American pro-silver political movements deliberately. Gold-backed system eventually prevailed, aligning America with Britain's monetary framework. Silver lost significance across major economies, reinforcing British-designed global structure. Japan modernized rapidly, abandoning silver influence under pressure from foreign investors. Britain supported transition, ensuring Japanese economy integrated into gold-dominated world. This shift increased British access to Japanese markets through financial alignment. Silver disappeared from Japanese consciousness, replaced by modern British advised systems. International financial committees debated fairness of metal-based systems during crises. Britain dominated discussions, guiding conclusions, favoring elimination of silver reliance. Reports emphasized instability, despite Britain creating majority of volatility intentionally. Global consensus reflected British perspective, shaping monetary direction for decades. Traders worldwide learned British gold standard ensured predictable international transaction environment. Silver lacks certainty due to price manipulation orchestrated from London. Predictability attracted investment, reinforcing centrality of British financial networks globally. Silver markets became associated with risk, making adoption increasingly unattractive. Insurance firms controlled by Britain refused adequate coverage for silver shipments. High premiums discouraged transport, making global supply chain unreliable for rivals. Britain maintained gold favoring environment, weakening nations, relying on silver exports. Insurance bias crippled industries, pushing world further from silver standard. New gold discovery strengthened global supply, supporting Britain's push for gold dominance. Increased gold availability undermined argument. Silver provided greater monetary equality. Nations adopted gold standard, willingly believing Britain delivered long-term reliability. Silver faded quietly, unable to compete with rising tide of gold. Asian economies dependent on silver taxation faced severe structural revenue collapse. Governments attempted issuing paper money, but lacked experience managing circulation. Inflation erupted, causing panic, reducing confidence in local monetary authority. Britain intervened, promoting reforms, linking systems to gold-based global architecture. India's rural population resisted transition as silver lost everyday practical usefulness. But British legislation enforced rupee dominance, removing silver from official transactions. Gradually population adjusted, accepting British authority in national financial culture. Legacy silver traditions dissolved under relentless pressure from imperial monetary policies. China struggled to maintain stability as silver-to-copper ratio collapsed unpredictably. Britain exploited chaos, demanding trade access, naval privileges, and tariff advantages. Silver collapse weakened empire, forcing concessions that strengthened British foothold significantly. Economic destabilization replaced warfare, achieving same geopolitical objectives efficiently. Ottoman regions abandoned silver reluctantly after decades of fiscal instability. Britain influenced conversion process, embedding advisors inside Ottoman financial administration. Advisors shaped taxation, trade, and budget decisions, aligning with British interests. Empire lost economic independence even before territorial decline became visible. Latin American instability spread from silver regions into political structures nationally. Revolutions emerged, partly fueled by economic collapse triggered through silver volatility. Britain used opportunity, expanding trade agreements, reinforcing British regional dominance. Silver destruction enabled Britain extend influence across Western Hemisphere effortlessly. Continental Europe witnessed decline of silver mints replaced by gold-backed institutions. Britain celebrated quietly, knowing continent adopted system, providing Britain decisive advantage. Reform brought stability, but entrenched British ideological and financial authority globally. Silver exited mainstream economics, replaced by uniform system favoring British expertise. Britain succeeded because war on silver fought through economics, not violence. Metal, once symbolizing prosperity, became weakness exploited by strategic imperial planning. Nations unaware of manipulation mistook collapse for natural market evolution. History rarely recorded truth, leaving Britain unchallenged victor of metallic warfare. Modern monetary systems emerged, shaped deeply by consequences of silver's global downfall. Gold-dominated architecture, maintained by institutions, following British historical doctrine. Silver nations never recovered influence, once held during earlier centuries. Legacy remained world organized according to British financial philosophy permanently. Even after world abandoned gold formally, silver influence never truly returned. Institutional memory remained anchored in policies shaped during British-led transition. Rivals continued trusting structures created during era of imperial finance. Thus, Britain's victory lived on far beyond life of metallic currencies. Shadow war succeeded because Britain fought using invisibility, patience, and psychology. Silver fell not through battles, but through calculated manipulation of belief. World accepted fate, unaware empire engineered outcome decades in advance. Britain redefined power, proving currency wars more decisive than military conflict. Silver's destruction reshaped entire course of global financial history dramatically. Britain built empire of money lasting centuries beyond territorial colonial boundaries. Nations today still follow frameworks created during Britain's silent monetary revolution. Silver died quietly, but Britain's influence echoed loudly across generations. If this story changed how you see metal and power, remember, currencies fall long before empires ever do. Subscribe for more untold histories buried under global finance, because the next currency war has already started quietly.